In September, this footage emerged from East Ridge High School near Chattanooga, Tennessee. It shows an armed school resource officer pulling a student, Taurus Sledge, by his hair and throwing him into bleachers. It started because he didn't want to play kickball. 24 hours later, there was another altercation at a Hamilton County school involving a 15-year-old girl. Both students were arrested. The videos show how armed officers hired to prevent gun violence are increasingly responding to student misbehavior, and students who would normally face detention or suspension are instead facing criminal charges. We took a closer look at the Taurus Sledge case to understand how things escalated and how the criminalization of behavior in school can have a lasting impact.
It's a heavy burden, like being a principal and being a superintendent with 45,000 kids. I would say safety is probably the heaviest burden that we bear.
Dr. Justin Robertson is the school superintendent in Hamilton County. In June, 2 weeks after a mass shooting in Uvalde, Texas killed 19 students and 2 teachers, he asked the school board for more funding to expand an existing school safety program and put an officer in each of his 79 schools.
We're requesting your support in pulling $950,000 from fund balance to get enough SSOs to cover every campus in Hamilton County.
Board members unanimously approved.
I think this is a no-brainer.
It's just absolutely a no-brainer.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
School resource officers, or SROs, are now one of the fastest growing areas of law enforcement. Active duty officers are now present in an estimated 70% of high schools, as more and more school districts turn to police to keep students safe. But police body camera footage shows that what happened to Taurus Sledge had little to do with school safety. On September 20th, Taurus said he wasn't feeling well and sat out as his classmates played kickball. When they later started playing basketball, he joined in. When the gym teacher confronted him, they got into a verbal argument.
He says, "You're a racist motherfucker, and I'll kick your ass." Quote.
The school's resource officer, Tyler McCrae, who'd been on the job for roughly 6 weeks, came to intervene. Things quickly escalated.
Get your hands off me. Hold on. Come on, man. Get your stuff. Let's go.
Within 10 minutes, McCrae threatened to arrest him.
You finna take a ride to jail, dude. I ain't f***ing with you.
Who the f*** is you talking about ride to jail? I ain't do to begin with.
It's called disorderly conduct.
Disorderly
Stand up,
conduct. You ain't
and let's go.
doing that.
All right, man. Take the backpack off. We finna go to jail. Don't resist me, dude. What is it? Don't resist me. Don't do it. I got you. Cancel, leave it out of here. Okay?
McCrae attempted to take off his backpack and put him in handcuffs. When Taurus didn't comply, he sprayed him in the face with pepper spray.
Take it off. Take the bag off. I'm gonna spray you again.
By the end of the day, Taurus was taken to jail and charged with disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, and assault. Because he was 18, he faces charges as an adult. His classmates responded by walking out of class, and video of the arrest was met with outrage online.
Being drugged down the bleachers by his hair.
In front of other students, it's humiliating.
Why would you call the police on a kid that does not feel good, that don't want to participate?
Sick to my stomach. Yeah, just really concerned that a child would have that experience in one of our schools.
Sonia Stewart is the deputy superintendent for Hamilton County Schools. While supportive of police officers in schools, she says what happened to Taurus violated county guidelines, which say that officers should only intervene when students break the law or threaten school safety.
The SRO was responding to a situation that was a discipline situation, and I think the school had multiple opportunities before engaging the SRO to have handled that situation differently.
But the line between school safety and school discipline isn't always clear. At a time when juvenile arrest rates are declining across the country, arrests in public schools are rising, and Black students are disproportionately punished.
When someone is resisting arrest, there's rarely a way for us to make that look good.
Mo Kennedy is a former SRO and executive director of the National Association of School Resource Officers.
The situation of when you put your hands on someone, that just varies from case to case. It seems to me the officer was trying to initially calm things out, and then it escalated.
Studies show that students arrested in school are increasingly being charged with disorderly conduct, a charge that varies from state to state and is subject to interpretation.
What the state criminal code says disorderly conduct is what it is, okay? Whether it's on a school campus or whether it's out on the street. As a former SRO, the last place I want to be is at juvenile court booking a student for disorderly conduct and an active assailant situation happens on my campus while I'm doing that. That's something that we as SROs really have to process and think about.
What happened to Taurus Sledge was not an isolated incident, and for younger students who've been arrested in school, the case has touched a nerve. The East Ridge footage, when did you first see it?
I saw it on somebody's Snapchat story. And then I went and looked it up and kind of read about it and watched it and saw it on YouTube. And I was like, okay, it happened again.
Miles is a junior in high school. He had his first encounter with law enforcement at school when he was just 12 years old. In 2018, he got into a verbal argument with an assistant principal who asked an SRO to intervene. The officer grabbed him by the arm to try to stop him from walking away, and according to police, that's when Miles became combative.
It was just like playing football. I mean, if somebody coming at you to block you and you don't see it, it's just like you getting grabbed up, and there's nothing you can do about it.
He was handcuffed, then taken to juvenile hall. Like Taurus, he was charged with disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, and assault.
You can tell that he had been crying for hours. Like his eyes were swollen, he was still like teary-eyed, and when he came out, he just like fell into my arms.
A court-appointed attorney advised them to accept probation, and Miles's record was eventually expunged. But his arrest has had a lasting impact.
Miles started to have stomach aches like in the morning going to school. He was nervous because one day you went to school and one day, by the end of the day, you ended up in jail. Since then, he's very defensive toward white males. And, he was confused about, how can they just do this? Like, how is this fair to me? What if this happens to another student?
After video of Taurus Sledge's arrest circulated online, Tyler McRae asked to be reassigned back to the sheriff's office. McRae is also a defendant in multiple federal civil rights lawsuits filed before he started working at East Ridge, and some are questioning whether he should have been allowed to work there in the first place.
There's been a lot of conversation about the fear of our schools becoming dumping grounds for officers that don't do well in other settings, and I am not in support of that.
Despite the backlash, Robertson stands by his decision to put more officers in schools.
Been super pleased with the caliber of individuals that we've been able to recruit into those positions. So far, we feel like it's been really successful.
The officers involved with these student arrests declined to comment on their cases. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office declined multiple requests for an interview. School officials say they are working closely with the Sheriff's Office to clarify the rules of engagement for SROs.
And I think as we better define those roles and responsibilities, I think two things are going to happen. I think we'll see the schools reaching for the SROs differently, right? And only in certain situations where there's, threat to harm self or others. Like, we're really clearly defining what those things are.
I don't think we're a nation where law enforcement is going to go away. We still have violent crime to deal with. We've got to learn better all the way around how to work together as a community.
Before, I just saw them as a positive light in the building because of what I know that happened with my son, what I know that happened with Taurus, and kind of some of the other situations that I've seen with SROs around the country. I don't know how I feel about it.